It's finally time to close the book on Stitch's cousins! Leroy and Stitch. Oh, poor Lilo. She doesn't deserve to be axed from the title like that. So seriously, what's with the titles of the Lilo and Stitch sequels? Just ignoring Lilo. It's the fourth and final Lilo and Stitch movie and serves as the conclusion to not just the Lilo and Stitch TV show, but the movies and the franchise as a whole, at least until the straight to Disney Plus live action remake. So, Leroy and Stitch tells the story taking place after the events of the TV show, where Lilo and Stitch, Jumper, and Pleakley have successfully found a place for each of the 625 experiments and have turned them all from bad to good. But when uh, when a Lilo is awarded, guardians of the experiments on Earth, and Stitch and Jumper and Pleakley are awarded each a promotion in space with the Galactic Alliance. Stitch, Jumper, and Pleakley leave a Lilo to begin their newer lives and careers. But while all this is going on, Garntu helps Hamsterville escape from jail, and Hamsterville and Garntu force Jumper to create the ultimate evil experiment, which is Stitch's equal. Technically 6 to 8, because Jumper made 6 to 7 in the TV show, which Hamsterville names Leroy. Literally a red Stitch, and there's not just one of him, there's multiple Leroy clones that help Hamsterville overrun the Galactic Alliance, and it's up to Lilo to reunite with Stitch with the help of 625, who she names Robin, to finally thwart Hamsterville's evil scheme and once and for all. So yeah, it's literally the end of the at least the animated Lilo and Stitch franchise. Now, thank you so much for your requests for my Lilo and Stitch sequel reviews. Yeah, and now that we come to Leroy and Stitch, I just have one more animated Lilo and Stitch property to review after this one, the TV show. But as for Leroy and Stitch, am I the only one doesn't like this movie a lot? Am I the only one that thinks this is the worst Lilo and Stitch movie? I have seen people be surprisingly kind to this movie. Doug Walker particularly seemed to uh, well, love it in his Disney December review 8 years ago. I've seen some people even go as far as call this the best of the Lilo and Stitch sequels. And I mean, if this sequel has what you look for in a Lilo and Stitch movie, then I can get that. But for me personally, Leroy and Stitch to me was a letdown, and concluded the Lilo and Stitch franchise on kind of a whimper. I'd call it letdown and Stitch. It's just so meh. Not that it's bad. As I mean, the most obvious positive you can say about Leroy and Stitch is its uh, epic and fun climax uh, with each of the 625 of Jumper's experiments versus the Leroy clones in the stadium. In terms of scale, it's the biggest climax in the Lilo and Stitch sequels, and it feels like an Avengers Endgame style final battle, and the experiments do get to kick butt. And this final battle is 90% awesome. The the only that underwhelmed me was the fact that Lilo and Stitch and the experiments saved the day by singing. Yeah, give the screenwriter an Academy Award for sarcasm. I'm sorry, but this is supposed to be the climax of the Lilo and Stitch franchise. I do think uh, that's just having them win the day by performing in Elvis style just felt like a cop out. And Hamps and Hamster Viola going into jail again. Really, I do think the ending could have been ballsier and had given Hamster Viola a ballsier villain death. But no, this film plays it more light-hearted and safer, the tone of Stitch the movie, rather than the more uh, mature tone of the first two Lilo and Stitches. Although the final shot of this movie with Lilo taking a photo of her and her entire Ohana, Nani, David, Myrtle, Jumper, and Pleatly, Stitch, and all the experiments around her house together, and then putting it in the Cousins book, that was not a bad way at all to close the book on the franchise. That was a wholesome final shot. If you've seen the TV show, one of my positives was how it developed Myrtle more and helped us get to know her better, and her redemption arc, her gradual redemption. Well, she's fully redeemed herself by this movie, and it's so cute how her experiment dog Gigi is able to talk her to her. Yeah, so I have mixed feelings on the ending, but the climax of this movie as a whole is the reason to watch this movie. Uh, but them aside, the negatives, I'm afraid, outweigh the positives for this finale. Uh, for one thing, I think the biggest insult this movie did was have Stitch and Jumper completely leave Lilo way too easily. I'm sorry, but I hated that Stitch would just leave Lilo like that to become a captain of a ship. Wow, and Jumper and Pleakley would leave to so Jumbo could get a science lab and Pleakley could become a professor. What happened to Ohanamin's family? Nobody gets left behind or forgotten, guys. That just made them, well, the most unlikable that they've ever been. That was far too out of character. And because of this decision, Lilo and Stitch barely have any scenes together in this movie. Heck, Lilo gets more scenes in this movie with 625 than she does with Stitch. Really? I mean, I know people praise Lilo's bond with 625 in this movie, but just because he's the closest experiment to Stitch. But I'm sorry, uh, why not just have a Lilo gets some more final bonding scenes with Stitch, because this is the last time we're ever going to see these two characters in animated form. Although one other positive I did neglect to mention was Gantu's redemption arc was decently handled. Him and 625 turning to the good side was a big phew at last. That they know that Hamsterfield was just using them this entire time. Once again, Nani, bless her, is sidelined, as this movie spends more time in space with the Galactic Alliance and than any other Lilo and Stitch movie, so we get far less time on the island of Hawaii. So the alien stuff uh, and the Hawaiian human stuff, are so unevenly balanced more than ever here. Like the alien sci-fi stuff takes up far too much of the runtime. The film could have made up for this with a longer runtime, but no, it is too damn short for its own good at just an hour and 10 minutes. And this is if this is supposed to be the finale to Lilo and Stitch, shouldn't it be longer? Like an hour and 10 minutes, that is too short for any conclusion to any franchise. And even the moment when Stitch looks at the Ugly Duckling book and puts it away and looks sad, I mean, it's trying to get us to shed a tear that Stitch and Lilo may be parting ways, but I'm sorry, I'm convinced this is a clone of Stitcher that's locked the original away, because there's no way a Stitch would ever leave Lilo, and and the made for TV weak animation doesn't make that moment hit as home as it should have done. Like, of all the Lilo and Stitcher sequels, this is the one that deserved the uh, the budget of the movies to uh, look as epic as the first film. And also, another thing that makes no lick of sense is, why the hell would Jumba help Dr. Jean-Boc Hamsterville and Garm to make Leroy? I'm sorry, but so it's literally Jumba's fault that Leroy was made in the first place, and Jumba just put Lilo and Stitch and all the other experiments in danger after he helped, you know, uh, rehabilitate them and find the place where each belonged in the TV show. Now his character's done a 180 because the plot needs him to, and yeah, Hamsterville is still uh, a laughable excuse for an antagonist, and him taking over the Galactic Alliance in this movie, it's played for laughs. You don't feel the stakes of it at all. Of the fact that he makes the Grand Councilwoman just his receptionist. I mean, you'd think she would put up way more of a fight. And you notice there's one character I haven't touched upon much in this review, the titular main antagonist, Leroy, who's not much better a villain than Hamsterville, in all honesty. He's just Stitch's evil twin, a red Stitch. How original. And his name Leroy is so laughably cheesy. I was laughing as hard as Jumper and Gantu were when Hamsterville came up with it. La la la. And yeah, and just the first two-thirds of this movie before that uh, experiment final battle, there are a little skirmishes with Stitch and Leroy, but it's mostly a drag to get through. Say what you want about Lilo and Stitch 2. Yes, that movie had writing decisions that were questionable, but at least it has, well, it had heart, and at least Stitch the movie was more fun than this. Leroy and Stitch even lacks, timeless Elvis hits for its soundtrack. So overall, Let Down and Stitch is not a good ending to the Lilo and Stitch franchise, to be brutally honest. I give Leroy and Stitch 2 stars out of 5. Meh movie. So yeah, Lilo and Stitcher deserved a way grander and a more emotional, higher stakes epic finale than this play it safe, kid-friendly, made-for-TV movie. Like, yeah, it really does lack the heart and soul of the first two Lilo and Stitches, and uh, but hey, I'm sure it's gonna be better than the live action remake, surely. But that said, I am hyped to share my thoughts on the pretty awesome Lilo and Stitch TV show. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. And what are your thoughts on Leroy and Stitch? So sorry if my mini rant offended you. Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'll see you all next time. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.